Alright, I'm here with an updated look at my Nintendo Switch collection for the end of 2021. So, I do these every year with the systems that I'm regularly buying new games for. So I've released a PS5 one this year for the first time, as well as I did a PS4 one. So check those out, as well as please check out the Game Room Tour if that interests you as well. I'll just jump right into the game collection. I like the Nintendo Switch. There's nothing more to say, really. I'm really happy with where the library is at this point, and I'm really excited for the future of where the library can go. But I'll just jump right in. AI the Somnium Files. Don't sleep on this one. This is a great game. So this is from Kotaro Uchikoshi, the writer, who did the Zero Escape series. I've never been too huge onto those games. I've played the first two, but I think they're good, but I don't think they're as good as like a Danganronpa or something like that. But this game's great. This is one of the best like adventure type games. Really great story, really great production value for what it is. Excellent game. The sequel's coming out next year. Very excited for that. Don't sleep on this one. I think the physical copy is kind of hard to get on this one now, but definitely worth playing either way. Great game. Animal Crossing New Horizons. Had a lot of fun with this one. This is sealed because I bought a physical copy for the collection, and then I bought a digital one just to have always on my Switch for easy access. But I'm a big Animal Crossing fan. I really like New Horizons. I feel like there's some things that I prefer in New Leaf over this game, but this one's still really good. And I haven't checked out the new update yet. I want to do that at some point. I just haven't had the time that I'm not also playing something else. But I'm happy where how this game came out. I think it's real good, and played it for well over 150 hours, so that should tell you enough. Arms. I like Arms. I think it was fun. I think, yeah, it was. I mean, the criticisms of it are valid. It was certainly lacking some content, and just it really could have used a story mode. They have these cool characters, and they have the kind of cool lore, and they just don't do anything with it. So I think if I'm sure there's going to be an Arms 2, this game sold pretty well. And I hope there is. I think the game, as it is really fun. I think it's mechanically really sound. It's really fun. The characters are really cool. I just think that they could definitely add some more lore to it and just do more to it. Add some more modes, add a story, something like that. It'd be really cool because what we have here is a really fun fighting game. Not a little overpriced. It's like still $60. I'd recommend getting it if a Nintendo Selects ever comes back, which I think they'll do it at some point, maybe next year. And that game probably would be one to go on the Nintendo Selects. If you can get it for maybe $30, I think you're going to have a good time with it. But what do I know? Astral Chain, great game. I never finished this one, unfortunately. I want to go back to it because I'm a huge Platinum Games fan. And this is one of the few of their titles that I just haven't finished. But what I played of it is really impressive for the Switch graphically. It plays really well, 30 frames, which is a bit unfortunate for a game like this. But the particle effects are really good. And just really cool game overall. I just really like the aesthetic. I hope they do more with this franchise. I know Nintendo owns the franchise. It'd be up to Platinum if they want to develop more for it, and I don't know who would develop for it if not them. But yeah, great game. I think it's really cool. Atelier Razia, Ever Darkness in the Secret Hideout. I kind of got pulled in on the hype on this one. I've heard this game is actually really good. I've never cared about the Atelier games. It feels like they put like one out every month for a while back, especially in like the PS3 days, Vita days. But I've heard the Ryza series is good. Apparently, this physical copy is kind of hard to come by. It was coming up on like Amazon every once in a while, so I just picked it up when it came up on Amazon for like $40 or whatever. I don't know if I'll open this or not. Is this still hard to come by? I don't want to like break the seal if it's rare or anything, but I've heard it's a pretty good RPG. Someone let me know in the comments. Any thoughts on that one? I've never been. The developer is Gust. It's published by Koei Tecmo, but the developers are Gust. And I've never really been too impressed with what I've seen of them, but you never know. BlazBlue Cross Tag Battle. So this is a crossover fighter with Persona 4, which I like, and then 3 franchises I know nothing about. I'm trying to think. It's Ruby, that Rooster Teeth show, which I genuinely don't know anything about. I think it looks kind of stupid, but that's just me. It's crossed over with BlazBlue, and what is it? Under Night Rebirth is the other one. I don't know. Arc System Works is a great fighting game developer, though. Would recommend this if you want a good 2D fighter. I think Arc System Works is like top of the game with 2D fighters. Their art is really good. Mechanically, their games are really complex but really solid. Really great stuff. This is a more recent one. I haven't tried this one out yet. Bravely Default 2. I got this on clearance at Walmart for $30, so I was like, yeah, for half price, I'll pick that up. I've heard better things about. I didn't like the first Bravely Default. I thought it was all right. I'm not gonna say I didn't like it. I just thought it was like okay. But I've heard better things about this one, so maybe I'll check this one out. I figured I'd just pick it up while it was half off. But Cadence of Hyrule. So I have this digitally, and then I'm a Zelda collector, so I bought the physical copy as well when that came out. I don't really like roguelikes. That's my like big problem. I like most genres to some extent, but I just can't tolerate roguelikes. I hate them. I'm sorry, guys. That's my one thing. So while I really thought this game was cool, the fact that it was like I thought the rhythm aspect of it was awesome, but the fact that it's a roguelike just had me completely pulled out. But there's one thing I'd recommend is to look up the soundtrack to this game if you've not played it. Just on YouTube, the soundtrack is like incredible. Great soundtrack. If you're a Zelda fan, especially, you'll love that. The remixes of some of the classic songs. It's awesome. Catherine Full Body. I've talked enough about Catherine on this channel on so many different collection videos. This is a great port of Full Body, which is a updated version of the 2011 game that was on PS3 and 360. And this is an overall just great game in general, but pick it up. Developed by the Persona team in between 4 and 5, and you can definitely see where 5 came from that game. So really cool. Another one I just wanted to get before. What I do a lot of times is when an RPG especially goes on sale, I nab it because I know I'm going to want to play it at some point. And RPGs obviously tend to start getting pricey. They tend to start getting expensive. They go out of print faster. Maybe not for this game, but I think I got this for $15. So I figured that was a good deal. Collection of Mana. This was the first time we got Seiken Densetsu 3 in the West, and it's just a good way to have Secret of Mana playable in the Seiken Densetsu 3 Trials of Mana. Probably not going to go back to Final Fantasy Adventure, but that's just me. Newer release, and I did an unboxing video of this one. If you want to check that out, it's on the channel. Danganronpa Decadence. So this is the ports to the Switch finally after all these years. Of the Danganronpa trilogy plus a new game, Danganronpa S, which is like a kind of a fan service game, really. But I think all three of those games are great. I haven't tried Danganronpa S. I don't know if I will. It doesn't really appeal to me too much. But I think all three of the Danganronpa games are great. Played them all on Vita back in the day, and excited to work through them again on the Switch. But highly recommended, especially if you like adventure type games. V3 is one of the best as well of that genre, and all three of them really are. I would say 1 is the weakest, so I understand if you might think like, oh, that's kind of underwhelming with 1, but I would keep going because 2 and 3 are great. Recommended. Check those out. Deadly Premonition Origins. So this is a port of Deadly Premonition, the 360 cult classic game. So Deadly Premonition has a weird kind of existence. It's a game a lot of people think is so bad it's good. I think it's a genuinely great game that's just made on a shoestring budget, but it's such a fascinating game to me. Such a huge ambition game, but with no budget whatsoever. If you could play a version of this, I would recommend you playing a version of this game. Just, you gotta experience this game, I think. I would recommend the Xbox 360 version, especially if you can play it on like Xbox One or Series X. But if you can't find that, the Switch version is probably your second best bet. But fair warning that none of the ports of Deadly Premonition are very good. The PS3 port is bad. The PC port is like still unplayable as far as I know. So this is essentially your best way to play a port of this game that's not on the 360. This is the first time I ever played through the game. I've only ever played the Switch version, and I had a good time with it. I mean, there's like the cutscenes are really badly compressed, like the video, and there's some weird hiccups here and there, but it's not unplayable or anything. by any means. And I think this is just a fascinating, weird, interesting game from Swery, which is just an interesting guy. He's just an interesting guy in general. But just a game I would recommend experiencing, especially if you're into Japanese video games. Game I probably wouldn't recommend experiencing, unfortunately. Deadly Premonition 2. So this game starts off strongly enough. First of all, this game is almost unplayable. Almost unplayable. Just some weird... graphics are atrocious. It looks horrible. The game feels like it's held together by like toothpicks and bubble gum. I don't even know where to start with that. But you kind of stick with it because it's still got that Deadly Premonition charm. It's still got the kind of interesting story, but the story just feels like there's no second act in the story. It just skips straight to a third act. Some just absolutely stupid and terrible stuff happen, and that's coming from Deadly Premonition, which is already pretty stupid. But big letdown, I think. Just not a great follow-up, especially after 10 years. Not a great sequel, not a great follow-up. I just don't even know. This is still Switch exclusive too, so I'm not sure what they were thinking with this one. And it's a shame because I was willing to, when I was playing it, I was like willing to stick it out with this for the story, even if the gameplay was like pretty bad. And then the story essentially just takes a giant dump. So unfortunate, but what can you do? Still recommend the first one though. First one's a classic. Second one just, I don't know what they were thinking. Disgaea 5 complete. I grabbed this one. This was a pretty early Switch release, and there was not a whole lot of stuff on the system at the moment. And I was like, I've never tried Disgaea before. I will give it a shot. Because, I like strategy RPGs. I like RPGs in general. And I just couldn't get into this one. I don't know what it was. I just didn't really care for it that much. It wasn't really my thing. But I'm glad I gave the series a shot, so I know it's not my thing at least, but... Kind of a newer one that just came in the mail not too long ago, Doki Doki Literature Club Plus. This is like a visual novel. Not a Japanese developed one, like a Western developed visual novel, kind of playing on tropes of like the visual novel genre, but then it kind of does its own thing. I'm aware that there's a twist in this game, but I've yet to play it I get the gist of what happens, but I'm interested to finally check it out fully. Dragon Quest XI S. This is a game that kind of came out at the wrong time. I started playing it, and I was like, I don't have the time for such a huge game like this. But I've been really kind of wanting just a easygoing, classic type JRPG. And I think I'll revisit this soon, probably earlier next year, because I've heard nothing but good things about Dragon Quest XI. And I do want to play it like all the way through eventually. But when it came out, I was like just kind of busy with a bunch of other stuff, and other shorter games were available, but... There's nothing that really interests me for a while in early 2022. I don't think till March, so maybe I can kind of run through that one. Take my time with it. Elder Scrolls V Skyrim. This was actually my first experience with Skyrim. I'm not huge into high fantasy, but I thought the idea of like a Skyrim on Switch was cool. And I played some of it. It's not really my thing. Like I said, I'm not too... into high fantasy, and I've never really been able to get into a Western role-playing game like this. But still glad I experienced it. Really cool to have something like this on the Switch, especially since, the generation, before it was such a marquee title to just have something like that, now portable after, it was such a big, in 2017, it was such a big jump because we were used to the 3DS. So to have, such a huge open world marquee title that was completely portable and ran great and looked great, it was really impressive, really cool. Final Fantasy X, 10-2 HD Remaster. Another game I haven't played in a while I'd like to revisit. I really like Final Fantasy X. I've never played 10-2 actually, but I really liked Final Fantasy X. I think it's a great game. Some of the characters are kind of weird and some of the writing's kind of weird, but I really like the battle system and I just think it's a fun game. Probably top 3 Switch game for me, Fire Emblem Three Houses. I just think this one's great. This was developed by, interestingly enough, Koei Tecmo did most of the development. I believe it was the Nobunaga's Ambition development team, or Romance of the Three Kingdoms, one of those two development teams from Koei Tecmo. And graphically, I think the game is pretty rough. But gameplay wise, it's really strong. And I picked, I think, not on purpose, on accident. I just kind of picked the weakest of the um, four. I guess that's a spoiler. Four paths you can take without the DLC. And I still really enjoyed myself. I still had a great time with this. And it's one of these games that it's like if I had infinite time, I would, and not 10 million other games I want to play, I would do all three of the or all of the paths. But as it is right now, I can't. I have other things I got to get done. Fire Emblem Warriors, a Musou game with Fire Emblem characters. I feel like this one kind of went forgotten. If you have someone list out a bunch of like first party Switch games, I don't think a lot of people mention this in like the first 20 games they list out. But it's a Musou. There's some extra like strategy elements to it, which is kind of interesting. But another Koei Tecmo. A lot of Koei Tecmo on the Switch. They were really working well with Nintendo this generation. The Great Ace Attorney Chronicles. So, guys, I'm the big Ace Attorney guy, and I have not finished the first game, and I have not played the second game yet. I'm sorry. I don't know. I just was like, I want to save this. I know, who knows when the next Ace Attorney game is going to come out. So I'm like, I'm going to play through this really slow. Kind of savor it, because I don't know when Ace Attorney 7 is coming out, but this is sealed, by the way. I got it on PlayStation 4 because I wanted to get the Platinum, because I had fun getting the Ace Attorney trilogy trophies. So I wanted to play it on PlayStation 4, but then I grabbed the Switch version just for the collection. I figured it would be cool to have a sealed copy in the Ace Attorney collection that I have. Hyrule Warriors Age of Calamity. I didn't play too much of this one just because the frame rate was like really rough. And when this came out, the PlayStation 5 came out, so I already had a bunch of games to play. And naively at the time, I was like, oh, all these Switch Pro rumors, we're definitely going to get a Switch Pro. I'll just wait until that comes out. Yeah, so not too much experience with that. Once I figured out what they were doing with the story, because they kind of marketed it as like it's a prequel to Breath of the Wild, but once I figured out what they're doing with the story, which is the first cutscene, so it's not a spoiler, I definitely was less interested. I can say that much. Hyrule Warriors Definitive Edition. This is still sealed. I got this for the Zelda collection. I played Hyrule Warriors on Wii U. I had fun with it. This is a good package if you hadn't played Hyrule Warriors at all, because it has like the 3DS content and the DLC content. There's a lot of stuff in here, but I just don't see myself revisiting the original Hyrule Warriors anytime soon. LA Noire. I like this game quite a bit. I know it's a kind of contentious title developed by Team Bondi, which is not around anymore. They were an Australian company, and they published by Rockstar here. I like this game quite a bit, and I think the Switch port is really good. It was like a really cool game to have. Once again, it was 2017. It was like almost like really. It was just really cool to have like a big console game that's on your little handheld. I remember playing it before bed every night, and I was like, yeah, this is a great experience. Cool game. What do we got here? Legend of Heroes Trails of Cold Steel 3. I picked, once again, I really like the Trails of Cold Steel games, but I'm falling behind on them. They got 4 of them out, and I just want to get these games because before they get expensive, because that's what happened. Ys 8 got hard to come by and expensive on Switch, and I'm like, I'm going to get these eventually. They don't drop in price, so I might as well just, and I get a lot of trade credit from, GameStop as kind of part of what I do on the channel. So I'm like, I might as well just pick this up. You might be asking why I have so many games I have yet to play. If you're new to the channel, I do a lot of game buying and selling at garage sale. Buy a lot of games at garage sales, pawn shops and stuff. And a lot of games get good credit at GameStop. I might pay $1 for it, and then I get $13 in credit. So that starts adding up. And so I get a lot of games from GameStop that I'm like, I'm going to get to this eventually. Or I just want to have it in the collection, so I pay essentially nothing for it. So that's why I have so many. I'm not like going out there blowing 60 hard-earned dollars on a game I never played. It's more like maybe $5 that I put into it that I got credit out of. So I figured I'd clarify that. I also have Trails of Cold Steel 4. I got to beat Trails of Cold Steel 2. I started it back when it came out and got about 10 hours into the game, and Ace Attorney 6 came out, and then that took me away, and then like Final Fantasy 15 came out and stuff, so I just never got back to it. But I really liked the first game, and I liked what I played of the second game. So I want to keep going with the series, but they're long. They are long. Moving on then, probably with the most famous Switch game, The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild. I like this game a lot. I don't think I like it as much as a lot of people like it, but I like it a lot. Not my favorite Zelda by any means, but I think it's a really solid title. I'm really excited for the sequel because I had some nitpicks with this game. I had some things that really bothered me. I didn't like the Divine Beasts. I would rather we just have regular dungeons. And I'll get to it in a second, but I was playing Skyward Sword HD this year, and I was like, man, this game has maybe the best dungeons in any Zelda game. And I kind of had underrated that game, but that game has great dungeons. And so to go from that to like a game with like semi dungeons and they suck. I hate the Divine Beasts. I think they're all bad. Really a shame. I would love to just see normal dungeons and the open world, and then it would be like 10 out of 10. Great game. But really like this one. I mean, one of the up there with like Mario World is like the best launch game. I mean, they didn't have many launch games on the Switch, but this game came and it was like, wow. I mean, that's an incredible launch title right there. That'll satiate you for a good while. And yeah, I think it's a great game. But like I said, I prefer the I would love to see the openness of Breath of the Wild and the experimentation of Breath of the Wild with the traditional dungeons, and that's if they did that, it would be like probably almost perfect Zelda game. Zelda Link's Awakening. I had never played the Game Boy one all the way through. I'd mess around with it a little bit, but I never played it all the way through. I really like this remake. I think it's awesome. The art style, it looks fantastic. It's really cute, but it's also like just looks really aesthetically pleasing. I think this game holds up really well. I mean, as far as I know, they don't really change too much from the Game Boy version with the design. It's a well-designed game. Little esoteric at times, but what can you do? It's an old game now, but I had a lot of fun playing through this one for the first time when it came out, and as far as pricing goes, I know people like kind of say it's not worth $60, and $60 is kind of a tough pill to swallow on this, but this one actually I've seen go on sale a couple times for $40. I'd say that's definitely worth it. I think it's a great remake, and I really like the developer that makes these remakes, Grezzo. They do a great job with these remake titles. They did the Ocarina of Time and Majora's Mask 3D. They do a great job with these, and I'd like to see more out of them. You know, maybe get the Oracle games remade. I've never really played those. Minish Cap. A lot of opportunities. Continuing on with Zelda, though. Skyward Sword HD. So I got this game day one back in 2011 for the Wii, and I was really excited. This is one of the games I was most excited for at the time of it coming out. And when I played through it back then, I was kind of underwhelmed with it. I don't know. And then at that time too, I don't know how much of it at that time too, people hated this game. So it was really popular to hate on this game on the internet. I might have been impressionable to that. So I wanted to go into this HD version. I was, completely open-minded about it. And when I played through it on this HD version, I was, impressed. I was like, not my favorite Zelda. There's some stuff I really hate in this game. But the dungeons are great. The story and the characters are like pretty solid, and I don't really usually go to Zelda for the story and the characters. But there's some great moments there, and it's just a weird game, though. I don't know, you go from some of the best Zelda design and some of the coolest Zelda moments to just some of the worst moments in Zelda. It's like, I just do this amazing dungeon, and then I'm swimming around for 20 minutes trying to collect all the Tad tones. Who wanted to do this? It feels like every great thing they do in this game, they were like, hey, we can't be too great here. We got to throw in something horrible and annoying. But I am glad I revisited it. I think this is by Tantalus, who did the HD of Twilight Princess. I think this is a great HD remaster. I played it entirely with controller controls. I know that might irritate some people. I think it plays so much better with just the controller controls and not the motion controls. I know that's contentious among a lot of people, but I just don't really want to play it like that. But this is a good version of the game, and I think it's a better game than I initially remembered it. Still, I would put it, ranking 3D Zeldas, I would put it maybe only above Twilight Princess. Luigi's Mansion 3, one of my top 5 on the system. Great game. This one is just really a lot of fun. I think that this game doesn't get enough credit for how good it is. Um, I just think that they put out like just a really fun game, one of the best looking games on the Switch. Some really great animation work. Graphically, it's really impressive with some of the stuff they do out of a. You got to think about the Switch is the fact that it's essentially a $200 tablet from 2016. So I mean, this thing's less powerful than a phone. So when someone can really make the thing look great, it's really impressive. But yeah, I like this game a lot. I think this game is a ton of fun. I recommend it to anyone with a Switch. One of the best on the system. Great level design, great time. And Nintendo has bought Next Level Games. I think they're a great team. I keep saying great. I think they're talented, and I'm excited what they're going to do. It seems like they're beefing them up, maybe to make them a two-team studio, so they might be putting out some more games soon. Mario Rabbids Kingdom Battle. I think everyone knows about how this game leaked, and everyone's like, "This is stupid. This sucks. I hate the Rabbids." And I was on the same boat. I don't get the Rabbids. The classic joke that the Rabbids are like the original Minions, stuff like that. But I wanted to give this game a chance, and I played it. And I thought it was great. It was great again. I'm sorry, it's 8 in the morning when I'm recording this, and it's also like you're not my college English teacher. I can use the same word over and over again. It doesn't matter. But this game's just so much fun. It's genuinely a good strategy game, and it's just a really fun time overall. I just think that this is one of once again a standout game on the Switch, especially for its first year. I'm looking forward to the sequel, and just a complete surprise out of Ubisoft. I think it's their Milan team. Just a complete surprise out of them because it's just a genuinely fantastic game. Mario Golf Super Rush. I had a lot of fun with this one. I would not recommend this one unless you have, friends who are playing this. I play this one on Discord with some friends pretty commonly, and we have 5 of us who have it, so we always have at least 4 people playing. And I can recommend it there. They supported it decently. If you get the game now, they're done updating it, so you get a pretty content complete game if you got it now. And I think it's fun. I think it's the online works surprisingly well. No problems there. I think it is it's always something with Nintendo with the online. It's always something with them. But I think it's a fun time. I don't think you'll be disappointed. I was really disappointed with Mario Tennis, and we'll get to that later. But I don't think you'll be disappointed with Mario Golf. At least I wasn't. But it depends. Do you like golf games or not? If you don't like golf games, then you're probably out for the count. Mario Kart 8 Deluxe. This game never ceases to amaze me that this was, the highest selling game on Wii U. It sold pretty well. I think like 8 million copies there. Came out in 2014. And Nintendo puts this out 2017. It regularly charts in the top 10, in the top 20, but sometimes in the top 10 every month on the NPD. Sells a ton of copies every year. They've sold I think I saw something that it sold more copies than the original Pokemon Yellow, Red, and Blue and Green, I guess. But it's going to cross 40 million sold pretty easily. They've not put out a new Mario Kart game, and it's just so funny. I wonder if Nintendo knew that this game that they put out 7 years ago now, almost 8 years ago, would keep selling like this and keep selling. And it's like, what I really like to see them do, and I know the Mario Kart team then develop ARMS because they're pretty much freed up. They're not working on Mario Kart. I'd like to see them just do another kart racer. It doesn't need to be Mario. It could be, maybe we bring back Diddy Kong Racing. Maybe we do another franchise. But I know people say Nintendo Kart. That would be cool. But, we have a Mario Kart on the Switch. Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, I think, is the best Mario Kart. This game still holds up great. Still graphically looks great. The soundtrack's incredible. I would just say it'd be awesome if we just got a new kart racer out of Nintendo, and with a different series, and we will see if that happens. I don't know if we'll ever get a Mario Kart, like original Mario Kart on the Switch. I know around the 4-year mark of the Switch, Nintendo said that they're about halfway through with what they want to do with the Switch. So if we get like an 8-year life cycle, which is to be expected out of a system like this now, maybe we'll get another Mario Kart. But I think Nintendo sees a game that they made, in the early 2010s, a game that they were working on then, in the early 2010s. I think they see that selling well and they think, why bother? Let's put out another title. Mario Kart Party Superstars. I was really excited that this game is good. I really like Mario Party. It's my favorite Mario spin-off. I was just excited to see that this game is good because it's been so long since we had a good Mario Party. I mean, I like Mario Party 1 through 8. There's some weaker ones in there, and there's definitely better games in there. But ever since 8, ever since Hudson left and, or, got dissolved essentially, and they switched over to ND Cube, the in-house Nintendo developer that does all their party games. It's been a downward spiral. Mine was awful. 10 was bad. The handheld games were like, please stop. Super Mario Party was like a step in the right direction, but that game wasn't amazing. It wasn't very good. And it took them to just take Hudson's work and like put a fresh coat of paint on it and put online play on it to make it good, but they did it. It's good. I really had a good time with this. No complaints on this one. The minigame lineup is good. I'd like them to add some more boards. I think they're going to. But other than that, I'm really happy with this. The online play works really well. And once again, it's a great Discord game. Great game to play online with friends. So I'm really happy that they just got it right. Because they were getting it wrong so much. And it's a shame. I think that, Super Mario Party sold a ton of copies. And I don't think that this game's going to sell very well. Because I think given, some kind of clueless parent, I'm going to buy Mario Party for my kid. Are you going to buy Mario Party Superstars or Super Mario Party? You see Super Mario, that's the Super Mario Party, yeah. So hopefully we get employees, at the game store pointing the parents to the right game. But I'm going to guess probably not. But if you didn't like Super Mario Party, play Mario Party Superstars. If you haven't liked Mario Party in a while, play Mario Party Superstars. It's a fresh coat of paint on old games and old boards, but the online's good. It just works, as Todd Howard once said. Mario Tennis Ace is really disappointed with this one. It's not as bad as the Mario Tennis on Wii U, which is like a crime, but it's just kind of bland. I guess I just don't really like tennis games in general that much, but just felt like there was no content in this. There was a story mode that was just stupid. It's just like, pass. I would pass on this one. Another Koei Tecmo and Nintendo joint here. Marvel Ultimate Alliance 3, The Black Order. This was developed by Team Ninja at Koei Tecmo. And I think this is fun. I know some Marvel Ultimate Alliance purists have some problems with this one. But I was like, man, co-op beat 'em up with a bunch of Marvel characters. I'm having a good time here, and they didn't even limit it because for a while, Marvel was limiting, what characters were used and stuff because they didn't have the film rights to X-Men and Fantastic Four and all that, so they weren't selling too much with those characters for a while, and there was Lego games with those characters not even in them. There was Lego Marvel had those characters, but then Lego Marvel 2 didn't, so. But no, this game, full solid roster of X-Men. I think they did DLC with the Fantastic Four, but it's in there. It's good. I think it's fun. I think $60 is a bit steep, and since it's got the old Nintendo published seal, it's never going to go down in price. But if you can score a deal on this one and you like Marvel, I'd recommend it. I think it's a solid time. Mega Man 11. This is kind of a revival of Mega Man. I think this game's okay. I'm a big Mega Man fan, and as far as the classic series goes, this game's good. It's just I put it lower in the pantheon of the rankings. Probably only above like Mega Man 1, which I don't find too great, and Mega Man probably 7 and 8. I would probably put those, and then this maybe not as maybe not as good as 7. I'd have to play it again, but I like the art style of this. It's easy for 2.5D to look cheap and crappy, but this game has a nice art style. I just think some of the level design in this is kind of off, and they added like this mechanic that's like the gear mechanic or something that I'm kind of like, this just doesn't need to be here, and I think the game would be better without it. But Mega Man fans, I'd recommend this one. You can get this for pretty cheap, and I'm not saying it's bad. I just think, and it's great to have a new mainline Mega Man game. I just think that when your game is not as good as games from 30 years ago in the same series, you might have a problem. If you're not taking everything you've learned from, the 30 years of this series and not making a better game than, Mega Man 2 or 3 that came out in the late 80s, you might have a problem here. Mega Man and Legacy Collection 1 and 2, Capcom did that annoying thing where one of them's on the cartridge and one of them is on a code, which doesn't make any sense because these are pretty small file sizes. They could have fit them both on there, but I like the Legacy Collections. I have, I'll go through them. I have them. The X Legacy Collection I have here, which there's a lot of games I've yet to play on this, of Mega Man X in general, so I'm not as familiar with that series as I am with the original one. And then I haven't checked this one out, but the Zero and ZX Legacy Collection. I've heard these games are great. They were developed mostly by Inti Creates, who is one of the great 2D game designers right now out of Japan. And just haven't tried this one out yet. But all those Legacy Collections are really good. It's a shame that they kind of screwed up the release a little bit. I don't think there's any download codes with the Zero and ZX Collection, but recommend those. Moving on here, I got the Steelbook for Metroid Dread, and I like Metroid. I like the Metroid Prime series a lot better. I've never been too huge into a 2D Metroid game before. Until Dread, I played through Dread. I thought it was great, and I really had a great time with it. It's a very well designed game. Interesting, they brought back Mercury Steam. Mercury Steam's kind of a hit or miss developer. Lords of Shadow 1 was thought to be kind of okay, but 2 was, pretty panned, and they've done some other kind of whatever stuff. And Samus Returns, I guess, was good from what I understand. I didn't play too much of it, but I didn't know that they had something like this in them. This is just a really well-designed, really well-developed game. Boss fights are really good. It's just, for lack of a better word, great. And I know Mercury Steam has now a deal with 505 Games for a game, that publisher, but I think this game sold well, and I think it'd be interesting if Nintendo really kind of, I don't know if they really need to do an acquisition, but just made a deal with them being like, hey, you're the Metroid team, 2D and maybe 3D. I think they could maybe do a 3D because, Metroid Prime 4, they kind of had to bring Retro back and shelve whatever game they were working on. It's like, Retro's got to work on other stuff too, and if we want to get Metroid Prime 4, maybe we need another, or Metroid Prime 5 or something. Maybe we need another team here. So I think maybe Mercury Steam's up for the task. And I like when Nintendo doesn't have a large stable of developers of their own. They have a lot of second party relationships there. And I like when they keep building those up. And they've been doing it, now with Mercury Steam. And they even brought in Mages, who's the visual novel developer. They did that with Famicom Detective, and they, Koei Tecmo and Namco Bandai. And now, Mercury Steam, just keep it up. Keep doing it. Keep bringing in these other, if you're not going to make new teams or acquire new teams, keep doing these different releases. The Missing, I haven't played this one. This has kind of gone up in price. This is like a limited run. This has kind of gone up in price, so I might just keep this sealed. I have the PS4 version of this game I got on sale for a few dollars. This is a sweary game. Creator Deadly Premonition, and from what I understand, this one's really good. I just have yet to check it out. Monster Hunter Rise. I've never been too huge into Monster Hunter. I've tried on pretty much every game. This is the game that's probably stuck with me the most. It's fun. It's just a lot of games like this I just don't want to put in the time. I'd rather play something that I can kind of get in and out in 20 hours, or if it's going to be a longer RPG, I'd like to see some kind of story and some kind of world. So the grinding nature of the game that's almost pure grind of Monster Hunter and is just not as appealing to me. But, it's fun in co-op. Beat some monsters up. One of my pile of shame games, I got this one again with trade credit, but have yet to play it, New Pokemon Snap. Once again, Namco Bandai developed this one. So, like I was just saying. Night Trap on Nintendo Switch. Howard Lincoln said that Night Trap would never be on a Nintendo console, and it is. This was a limited run title. I just thought it was fun. It's still sealed. Travis Strikes Again, No More Heroes. This is still sealed, actually, and I picked this up for, I think, $10 or $15. I think I paid $10 for it at Best Buy, on clearance. And this went up in price, quite significantly. I don't know if it's still up there, but this was a kind of a hard to find out of print title, and went up in price quite significantly. I'd be interested to see after the No More Heroes 3 hype has gone down if it's still up there. But I didn't play this one. I heard mixed things about it, and it's usually pretty cheap on the eShop, so I might just keep this sealed now. But didn't play that one. But I like the No More Heroes series otherwise. Getting into that. No More Heroes 3. Interesting game. I'd say of the three main games, I haven't played, like I said, I haven't played Travis Strikes Again. I'd say this is the weakest one, unfortunately. But it still has a lot of great stuff in it. It's just it's unfortunate that this game didn't have more of a budget, and that they didn't use the budget a little smarter. And I think COVID screwed up this game's development. Because the game, when you're in enclosed areas and you're doing combat, is great. The combat runs at 60 frames. It's smooth. The combat is the best it's been in the series, and it feels great to play. It feels so good to play this game. And then you get into the open world that didn't need to be there. They got rid of the open world in No More Heroes 2, and I don't think anyone complained that they got rid of it, because it just doesn't need to be there. And it just kind of makes the game longer artificially. And this was a problem. No More Heroes 1 is like a 10-hour game, 8 to 10-hour game. And they brought it down in No More Heroes 2 without getting rid of the open world to about a 5 or 6 hour game. And I'm going to guess that they didn't think they could get away with doing that again for a $60 Switch game, making a 5 to 6 hour game. But it's like, your fans will buy the game, your fans will pick it up regardless. And they just want to play a cool game. They don't want to have an open world with like some of the worst graphics I've ever seen. And the frame rate doesn't hit 30. It's like really inconsistent. It's just really a disappointment, because it's like, if you would have just made No More Heroes 2 had a kind of more closed level design instead of the open world. So you got some kind of interesting levels. And it's like they took the worst of both worlds from No More Heroes 1 by taking the open world looks, and I mean, it looks and is less interesting than the Wii game. It looks worse. It has less to do and less stuff in it. It's like, why did they put this in? And I really think that like COVID screwed them up, and they just had to get this game out. They ran out of time, but it's a shame, because we got the worst of both worlds in that regard. Because it's like, we didn't even get the cool like level based design of 2 with some really cool levels that the game really could have shown, and it really could have shined, and it really could have had that cool combat. We didn't get that. We got a bad open world, but with great combat. And I wish we would have just got the more, linear level designs instead. That said, though, I don't want to hate on it. I think it's a fun game, and definitely worth playing, especially if you like the other two. And I think the combat is just stellar. That's a real standout here, but bit unfortunate otherwise. Project Octopath Traveler. I guess it's just Octopath Traveler now, but I thought this game was boring. I'm sorry, I thought this game was boring. It has a lot of potential. The art style is so cool, and the music is good, but the battles go at like a snail's pace. I'm a huge RPG fan, and I can put up with random encounters in older games, but when you have random encounters in a game that comes out in 2018, it's just, don't. You can put that... Random encounters were put into games because they didn't have enough, processing power to include the enemies on the map. But it's 2018 now. We can put those enemies on the map. We don't have to do random encounters anymore. That's my big thing with this, is just stop it. Paper Mario Origami King, another game that I've not got to. The original Paper Mario is one of my favorite games, and I don't know, I'm almost worried to play this one. I've heard that it's better than Sticker Star and Color Splash, which is good. I just think that whatever that wheel thing is looks stupid. I think it looks completely pointless. And I don't know, I'd still like to play this one. I've heard it's good. I do want to get into that one, but I just, as of yet, have yet to. Another one I got thinking I would get to and then didn't in time. But I wanted to get it anyway. Pikmin 3 Deluxe. I thought Pikmin 3 on Wii U was awesome. And I wanted to play it again. This isn't stopping me from playing it again. It's on the backlog for sure. I'd like to play it again, but picked it up once again with trade credit, like I tend to do, and have just yet to get into that one. But Pikmin 3 is great. Definitely recommend Deluxe. From what I've heard, it's a good port. Um, Pokemon Let's Go Eevee. I had fun with this one. I've kind of been a little bit with Pokemon. I kind of stand on the stance that like Pokemon is first and foremost for children, and adults can enjoy it. There's nothing wrong with that. I like the world of Pokemon. I like the characters of Pokemon, but the games are for children. They're essentially baby's first RPG, and there's nothing wrong with that. They're a great starting point for RPGs. They're a great teaching tool for how to play RPGs, but they're not complex. They're simple RPGs. And when I see adults, especially the Switch generation, has been very vitriolic around Pokemon with, how it's turned out. And when I see adults getting upset over Pokemon, I can only think like, buddy, it's time. Maybe Pokemon isn't for you anymore because Pokemon's target demographic is like 8-year-olds. So maybe the fact that you're like 25 and getting furious about Pokemon online, it's just not for you anymore, and that's okay. There's other RPGs you can play, even other monster collecting RPGs that you can play that are going to be more challenging. You can play Shin Megami Tensei or something. I don't. I understand why people like Pokemon. I understand the card collecting aspect, and I understand why you like the games. But like these people who are getting furious over the games, I think they just need to realize they Game Freak. And I understand Game Freak, I feel like, is coasting because they know that they can put out any game and it'll sell 10 million copies as long as it's in the mainline series. So I think they're coasting to an extent. And we'll get into Sword and Shield in a second. I think that game definitely was like not as high effort as a lot of people would have liked, but I don't know. I think that like it's stop getting mad over the cute creature game. But that has nothing to do with Let's Go Eevee. Let's Go Eevee is fun. I had a good time with this one. I've been a little bit burnt out on Pokemon, but I had a good time with this one. Maybe it is just because it's Gen 1 and that's all my decrepit, rotten brain can handle anymore. Once you get more, 7,000 Pokemon, I'm like, I don't know what this is doing anymore. But I had fun with this one. I liked actually being able to play it with one hand. And I know where people are going with this. I was not jacking off while playing Pokemon. I don't know, I thought it was like, oh, it's nice. I can kind of relax. I have the Joy-Con. I can play with one hand, go through the game, have a good time. I had a good time with this one. Eevee's cute, too. That helps. I'm not a part of the solution. I'm part of the problem. Pokemon Sword and Shield. I played Sword. I have Shield still sealed. Sealed Shield. And I agree that I feel like this is for the first HD console Pokemon mainline game. If this is Game Freak's best effort, then they're in trouble. I'll put it that much. But I think Legends Arceus looks good. I don't know if it looks as good as it should, but if this is their best effort, though, they're in trouble. But I just think that I think they could have put something better out. I just really think that they know, I think these games, Sword and Shield, they still do the 2 game releases, which is nuts to me. They're the same game except for some new Pokemon. That's nuts to me that they still do that. But I'm like, man, that sold 20 million copies, and I feel like there's so many games that are so much better than this. But I'm optimistic. I think Arceus will be good. I hope it is at least. But like I said, if there's other RPGs, if you're really getting furious about Pokemon, maybe it's time to look into some other games. That's all I have to say. Ring Fit Adventure. I think this is a fun concept, and I think it works really well. I played it a few times, and I was like, man, this is actually like a workout. I was thinking kind of Wii Fit. That's why I didn't pick it up for a while, but I picked it up during COVID or whatever. But I was thinking Wii Fit. I was sitting there being like, oh, you're going to do a couple little things. You're not going to break a sweat. But this game like really kicks you into gear. Cool game. Shin Megami Tensei 3 Nocturne HD. Once again, just picked this one up with trade credit. Haven't gotten to it yet. One I have gotten to, though, is Shin Megami Tensei 5. And I've only played about 5 hours of this one. I don't know if I'm going to keep going right now. I'd like to see more of it. I'm having a lot of fun with the battle system and everything. I just think that the world exploration is pretty boring. Like the world, and I don't know if it switches up later, but like they kind of dump you into this thing, and I like kind of make it a team, and I like the battle system, but I'm like, man, these are, and I like the challenge. I think it's like a suitable challenge. Like I've yet to be like obliterated. I really like an RPG where if I go into a boss and get wiped out, I can be like, okay, I need to focus on this attack and this skill, and I need to maybe get up like two more levels, and then I'll be able to get in. And then I go in, and I'm like, yeah, that was great. It went well. I like an RPG like that, and this is delivering on that. But I just think the open world, the story's yet to grab me, and maybe it gets better later on. I just haven't. Once again, it's another game I haven't had a lot of time for a big RPG, but one I would like to dig into more soon. But what I can tell, cool game. The Silver Case 2425. I did an unboxing on this on the channel. This is a Suda 51. This was his original. These are the original Grasshopper with Silver Case. That was the original game for PlayStation, only in Japan. And now this is a port. They finally put these games out on PS4 a couple years ago, and now this is a port of that to the Switch. Both of those Silver Case games. And another one high on the backlog. It's been a busy year for me, so I have not been able to touch a lot of games here. South Park: Fractured but Whole. I don't know if I've ever even seen a full episode of South Park. I know I've seen a lot of clips and stuff. I think it's funny, but this game, I really liked this game. I think it was funny. I think the gameplay's good. I didn't play the first one, but I think the gameplay's really good. I think it's funny, and I don't know. It was a good surprise. I played this one actually going to Japan, so I played it, in the airport on the plane a little bit, stuff like that. It was a good game for that, and I had a lot of fun with this one. And this is coming from someone who has very little experience from South Park. Moving on with Splatoon 2. I'm excited for Splatoon 3. Splatoon 2 had a lot of potential, and I feel that it did not live up to it. It came out only 2 years after Splatoon 1. So it was essentially, my guess is that they were like, should we just port Splatoon 1, or should we kind of make Splatoon 1.5? And they did the latter. The online in this game is atrocious. And that's the big problem. This game needs good. I think the story mode's fun, but this game needs good online, and it doesn't have good online. There's no really easy way to just play with your friends. The cycling of maps where you only have two maps, it feels like you get the same map every time. It's just irritating. Every time I play this game, it's at least one person on each team drops. So it's like, oh, okay, so there's an unfair advantage. That team's going to win. So it's I don't know. And it's also a game played by 8-year-olds. So the meta is just atrocious. Kids want to go out and like shoot each other. They don't get the concept of the game. And it's just, I want a good game, easy to play with friends, easy to squad up with friends, easy to squid up with friends even. And just have a good time, stable internet. I know Nintendo's beefed up their internet, so I'm hoping they're online, so hoping 3 is good. But they've had 5 years for Splatoon 3. I'm hoping that it really excites me, and I hope it really surprises me, because Splatoon 2 is a good game with a lot of just annoying problems that have really ruined it for me. This was coming from someone who played a ton of Splatoon 1. I think Splatoon 1 is actually better than Splatoon 2, I hate to say. Streets of Rage 4, really cool return to Streets of Rage. Classic Genesis titles. And this is really well done. The art is really nice. And had a good time with this one. Good game. Starlinked Battle for Atlas. I got this with this whole starter pack for, I think, $8 from Best Buy when they were just clearancing them out. The reason I got it was because it has the Star Fox content in the starter pack, where it has a little Star Fox ship. I thought was cool. And I've heard actually this game, if you play it on Switch with the Star Fox stuff, is actually a pretty fun Star Fox game. But it was Ubisoft's attempt at Toys to Life, like after all the other Toys to Life had died, so it didn't end up very well. Super Bomberman R. This was a launch title. The only other launch title I got, when the system came out, was Breath of the Wild. But this was a fun one to have at launch. They've actually updated this one a lot. They have now like a Bomberman R online that's free to play. This box art is great, by the way. I really like this box art. Not the best Bomberman game, but for the first Bomberman game in a while, it's pretty fun. It's good to have on Switch. You can get this for pretty cheap now, so I recommend it. And yeah, I think it's a good time. Bomberman, just classic. Speaking of classic here, Super Mario 3D All Stars, weird package. The whole we're only selling this for a certain time. You can still go to the store and buy this game. By the way, I go to the store all the time and see this game everywhere. There's still plenty of copies. The people who are buying like a ton of copies of this game to keep it sealed are kind of taking a bath on it at the moment. We'll see if that panned out, but I don't think it will. I mean, they sold like 8 to 10 million copies of this game, but it's nice to be able to have these games easily playable on the Switch. I think they're all good versions of the game. There's nothing really catastrophically wrong with them. They're good ports of these games. It's Super Mario Sunshine is a very surprising game of how good that looks for such an old game. But good package. I played through Mario Galaxy. I played a little bit of all of them, and I played through Mario Galaxy. And the motion controls with the Joy-Con work really well with that game. Good package. I think they could have done much more with it. It could have been a much better package. I'm thinking like Kirby's Dream Land and stuff like that, or Dream Collection. But what we got there is not horrible, and I mean, a bit overpriced maybe, but not horrible. Super Mario 3D World plus Bowser's Fury. This is a great package. So Bowser's Fury is about a 3 to 5 hour experience. It's really good. I really hope that they take a lot from this for the next 3D Mario game, and because it's awesome. And Super Mario 3D World's a really fun game. I played through this one entirely in online co-op, and the online co-op was good enough. I played it back in the day on Wii U, but I did like the entire game on online co-op. Got all the star coins, Champion Road, and it worked pretty well. No real complaints there. But must play if you have a Switch. This is a must own. This is a must play. This is a great game, especially if you missed out on 3D World. Highly recommended. If you never played that game, that game's great. And Bowser's Fury is also just fantastic. Super Mario Maker 2, this was a trade credit and a sale buy from GameStop, but I've yet to play it. I heard there's some good single-player content on this one, so I'd like to check that out. Any new Mario is good with me, especially Nintendo-developed Mario. I played a decent amount of the Mario Maker on Wii U. I don't really want to make stuff. That's just not really for me. That's not interesting to me. I want to play stuff, and when I remember playing like Wii U Mario Maker, and I'm like, all right, let's see what levels I got. Oh, this is an autoplay one. Oh, this is a meme one. Oh, this is a drawing of a penis that's yet to get taken down. Oh, okay. Not really for me, but this is one I could see myself being like, you know what, that's what I'm going to do this afternoon. Play some Mario Maker 2, check some stuff out. Just have not done that yet. Super Mario Odyssey, this is my, I think, favorite game on the Switch. I just think this game's a ton of fun. I was really impressed with this one. Everything about this game is great to me. I don't really have any big complaints about this other than the game ended. There could be more stuff. And I know I get a little bit irritated because I think a lot of people just mimic whatever the popular opinion on something is, even if it's kind of a dumb opinion, at least in my opinion. And there was a video that was like 80 hours long or something talking about how Mario Odyssey's not that good. And that video, for some reason, took the positive response to this game, and now everyone mimics like the same 3 talking points from that video. And I'm like, okay, I mean, if you really feel that way, that's valid, but I feel like a lot of people are just hearing that and being like, oh, I don't want to look like an idiot and say I like this game, because this guy who kind of sounded smart and made an 8-hour video told me that it's not a good game. But I think this game is fantastic, and just really great worlds. Just the mechanics and the way Mario moves in this game, and the control of Mario in this game is perfect. And the different tricks you can do with the cap, and the different things you can capture with it, just an awesome game. Not going to talk to you on Super Mario Party. I just think this one's kind of annoying. Playing with sideways Joy-Con was annoying. The buddy system or whatever was annoying. The boards are really poorly designed. There's only 4 of them. bit of a disappointment, but we have Mario Superstars now, so Mario Party Superstars now, so it's all we need. Super Monkey Ball Banana Mania. I like the Monkey Ball games a lot. The GameCube games, at least. Everything else, I can take or leave. And this is essentially, a compilation of those games in HD. Great. I mean, this is exactly what the fans have wanted for a while, and Sega delivered. It's good. Not much more I can say. Really good Switch game as well. Kind of just mess around on it on handheld. Good Switch game. Super Smash Bros. Ultimate. The roster's done now. The game is done now. I can say pretty wholeheartedly that I'm insanely impressed with what they were able to do with this game's roster. I feel like not all the DLC characters are really what I would have chosen, but I got Joker, who I really like, Banjo, Sephiroth, some ones that I really, really enjoyed. And I don't really think they made a bad inclusion in this game at all. And they really focused on fan favorites, which could have gone poorly. They could have really taken the wrong fan favorites and put them in here, but they chose really good fan requests as well as some just characters that made sense. The Castlevania characters, or just really good roster. And I think the game plays really well. It's just impressive game. Once again, Sakurai and Namco Bandai. Sushi Striker, The Way of the Sushido. I got this on clearance for like $5. It's still sealed. I've heard this is a fun game, but I've actually heard it's better on 3DS too, but just not have checked it out. Here's a game that I think I'm the only person on the planet that likes. Tokyo Mirage Sessions Sharp FE. This is the Encore version. I think a lot of people even forgot that they ported this to Switch from the Wii U. This was originally a Wii U game. And this was originally Shin Megami Tensei Crossfire Emblem. And what it essentially became is kind of a Persona Light with your Personas are instead like Fire Emblem characters. And this game has one of the coolest battle systems. The story is fluff. The story is not really anything. And the characters are kind of fun, but the battle system in this game is just like insanely fun. It's really addictive. It's really fun to figure out how you can like exploit weaknesses and then rack up like these crazy combos. I really like this game a lot. I think it's one of the best RPGs on the Switch, and I just think it's really underrated. And especially if you like JRPGs and you like that kind of Persona stuff, it's not as good as Persona by any means, not in pretty much any category. But this is a really fun game, and I think it is worth a play. And it's about a 40-hour RPG, so it's not like ridiculously long, and it's not ridiculously easy or anything, so I think this is a good time. Highly recommend that one. Undertale. I like Undertale a lot. It's become a bit of a meme, but I like this game a lot. I played it on the Vita, and I just wanted to have a physical copy of it for the collection, and that's all I have to say. Iconic game now. Another game I highly recommend. Oops, I dropped the paper inserts out of it here. You're going to have to wait in suspense of the game I highly recommend now. Valkyria Chronicles 4. I try to talk about this series a lot. This is such a cool series. So these are strategy games. You have like full control of your character on the board, and you can move them on the map, and you can move them, as far as you want. And it's just so good. The gameplay is so fun. The art style is really cool. It is like a cool watercolor art style. It's just a lot of fun. It has those social elements like you get out of a Fire Emblem or something. If you're a Fire Emblem fan, I highly recommend this. It doesn't play the same, but there's a lot of similarities. You don't need to play any of the other Fire Emblem or Valkyria Chronicles games to play 4. 3 didn't even come out over here, and 2 is like a much different game. It was on PSP, but 1 and 4 I would say are both worth playing. They're both on the eShop. You can get them in a bundle, and they both go really cheap on the eShop. Or the physical copy, of course, is good as well. There's not a physical copy of 1 on the Switch, to my knowledge, but highly recommend this series. It's from Sega. It is awesome. I hope they keep making them. This one came out like 2018, but Valkyria Chronicles 1 and 4 are both excellent games, and I highly recommend them. Definitely underrated. I don't hear nearly as much people talking about those games. I have no idea. I genuinely have no idea how the Valkyria Chronicles series is not bigger. I feel like it's something that people, they gave a chance, they'd really latch onto in the way they've latched onto Fire Emblem and Persona and whatever else. It's one of those series I could see really people latching onto the characters and the story. WarioWare Get It Together. I don't like Wario is only one thin cloth away from exposing his genitals and probably becoming a sex offender. I had fun with this one. I don't think it's worth... It's $50. It is not worth $50. I think you could probably see everything that's worth seeing in this game in about 2 to 3 hours. And it depends on how much more you want to get out of it. But I find it kind of baffling that they thought that $50 was appropriate for this. I actually went to Walmart, which I don't usually do, and got this game there just because you can get it there for... I think I got 42 or something. A lot of games are on discount at Walmart. They're usually $10 cheaper even the day they come out. So check that out if you've never looked into that. But I would not recommend paying more than maybe $20 for this game, unless you're a really big WarioWare fan. I just think like it's really overpriced. It's not very content rich. It's fun. You'll get some fun gameplay out of it, but I just don't think. I think $50 is a big ask on that one. World's End Club. So this is from 2Kyo Games. They are a studio that formed a few years ago. It is Kotaro Uchikoshi, who I mentioned, who wrote AI, the Somnium Files, and the Zero Escape games, and then it's Kazutaka Kodaka from the Danganronpa series. So this is essentially a dream team, and it also has Masafumi Takada, who does the music for No More Heroes and Danganronpa and a lot of games like that too. So this is essentially a dream team in a lot of ways for adventure games, and they're a small team still. What they've put out, I'm not impressed with, including this game. So they've also put out a game called Death Come True. It is exclusive to, it's digital exclusive. It's on Switch, I know. I played it there, but it's also, I think, on PS4. And that's like an interactive movie game, and I'll talk about that in the what's on my Nintendo Switch game when I go over my digital games. It's going to come out the same day, so check that out. But this game here tries to go for like almost kind of a Danganronpa, but there's no killing or anything. It's not dark. It's only teen rated. It's like an apocalyptic story. I don't want to give too much away, and it's just not great. I feel like it could be a lot. It's like a weird mix of like 2D puzzle solving and platforming, which none of that is very good, and kind of storytelling. The story is like okay. This game, you could tell both it's on an insane budget while also being reasonably impressive for what it is. So the character design is done by the character designer, I don't remember the person's name, who did Pokemon Sword and Shield. So the characters kind of look a bit familiar. You could kind of see where that link is. But this game is just okay. And I think there's a fan base who really likes this game, but it didn't do it for me. If it sounds interesting to you, I would check it out. It's not a bad game by any means. I just think it's like okay, which is fine. That's all it needs to be. I'm just gonna go through these real quick. World's End With You Final Remix, which I got on a sale, and then World's End With You, World Ends With You. Have not played. I played the original one on DS a little bit. I want to go and actually finish it and play through it all the way, and then play Neo: The World Ends With You, because I've heard great things about Neo, but we'll see when that happens. Xenoblade Chronicles Definitive Edition. I really like the first Xenoblade Chronicles game. I think it's awesome. And I really liked it. I played it through on Wii back in the day when it came out. And I just think it's a great game, but it was always held back by the hardware it was on. So they put it on Wii, and I mean, it's rough, especially graphically. And then they put it on 3DS, and it's like, God, I didn't think you could make this any worse, but you did somehow. But finally, we get this cool definitive edition. Character models look great. World looks really, really nice. And the game was finally able to shine. And it's so good. The original Xenoblade Chronicles is so good. And it's just, you got to play the original game on Switch. Must play. Like an all-timer. And unfortunately, I'm not as hot on Xenoblade Chronicles 2. And I know that might make some people mad. Some people love this game. And I think it's a good game. I didn't finish it. I just was like, I don't know, man. There's so much about this game that I just don't. The blade system I'm not really into. I don't really like when they like gatekeep you from doing things in the game. Depending on like blade level. That's just kind of annoying. And the characters I thought were just kind of annoying. I don't know. I know it gets better, and it's a game I'd like to give another shake at some point and revisit because I know it gets better. I know a lot of people really are into it, but like I look at this game and I'm like, this isn't even nearly as good as the first game, and that's unfortunate because I also didn't really like Xenoblade Chronicles X that much either. So I'm like, I really hope they bring me back. If they do another one, they can do something that's like much more interesting to me. But maybe it's just like I just said, maybe it's not for me anymore. I missed Wonderful 101 Remastered. I have not played this version. I kickstarted it because I'm a big fan of Platinum games, but I heard this remaster is like not very good, unfortunately. And Platinum is in a weird place. I've talked about this on my Twitter a lot, but they're in a weird place. And I'm kind of concerned about what's going on with them. But time will tell, I guess. Time will tell. We're getting towards the end here. Yoshi's Crafted World. This would be a good one for like really young kids. I just was kind of bored with this one. I thought it was way too easy. The music was kind of annoying. I liked the aesthetic. I thought it was cute, and it's not a bad game, like I said, by any means. But it would be good, especially I think it's co-op. So I think if you are like a parent and you want to teach your child pretty simple gaming, you want to play in co-op, this would be a perfect game for something like that. And what I look for in a 2D platformer is something like more like Donkey Kong Tropical Freeze, where it's like something that's constantly throwing something out at me. It's challenging. The level design is interesting and like really exciting. And when I look at this, I'm kind of just walking to the right. But that might appeal to some people. Final game here. Ys 9. So like I said, Ys 8 got kind of hard to come by. Back in after that came out, so I was like, I kind of missed out on that one. I want to get Ys 9. I'd like to play it. I've heard good things. I need to just pick it up and get it before it gets hard to come by. So I did. Haven't played it yet though. But at this feature length of an hour and 11 minutes, an hour and 12 minutes now, I'm going to call it a wrap on that one. That is my Nintendo Switch collection. I really like the Nintendo Switch. I'm really happy with where the library is. I think it is just continuing to grow, and I think this could end up being one of my biggest libraries in my collection, because it's just they're constantly putting out great stuff, and it's good to see a Nintendo firing mostly on all cylinders. I have some problems with what they're up to, but for the most part, I think they're doing great. I think they're doing a great job, and I think that what's going on over there is cool, and there's a lot of room for them to start building new teams up, building new stuff up to really get some stellar games out. And the only thing I ask is some kind of Switch Pro and just, a more consistent schedule of games. And I think they're going to deliver on that in 2022. Not the Switch Pro, but the consistent schedule. But it's exciting. I think the system's great, and I think it's going to just keep getting better. So I'd like to thank you for watching. Follow me on Twitter at Objo Gaming. If you enjoyed the video, it really helps it out. Subscribe if you're not already subscribed. Check out my other videos, Game Room Tour, other collection videos. There's a playlist with all my game collection videos that I've done, the most updated versions of them. So check that out. And comment down below what your favorite Switch games are. If there's any in my collection that you think that aren't in my collection that you think I should pick up. Sorry, I've been talking for an hour and 13 minutes straight. And until next time, I'd like to thank you for watching.